Hi everyone. I'd like to continue with Psalm 24 with you. We'll just do 4 verses. These aren't terribly complicated or anything. We finished with verse 10 last time, we'll start with verse 11. Lema'an shemka Adonai vesalachta la'avonai ki rav hu mizeh ha'ish yarei Adonai yorenu bederek yivchar nafsho betov talin vezar'o yirash aretz Sod Adonai li reiv uverito lehodiam. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, pronounce verses 11 through 14 out loud, see how much you can translate. Okay, verse 11, just a noun clause to begin with, lema'an. Hopefully you remember that means in order to or for the sake of, which is what it means here, for the sake of your name, and then direct address, O Lord. Vesalachta, salach means to forgive. You'll notice that it's a 2ms cal perfect, but it's the consecutive perfect. We would expect an imperative here. For the sake of your name, Lord, please forgive. But if you check Walkie O'Connor, the consecutive perfect after a noun clause can take on a volitional sense. So consecutive perfect generally means future consequence or something like that, but it can take on a volitional sense here. So it's fine to translate this as, for the sake of your name, O Lord, literally, and you shall forgive. But we can take it as, please forgive. La'avoni, my iniquity. Lamed showing the direct object, which is, lamed is really flexible as a preposition, but that's one of the uses. Please forgive my iniquity. Ki, rav, hu. This is a nice little phrase. It's literally because it is great. Ki can mean although, and I would expect some of your English translations have forgive my iniquity although it is great, but it's fine to translate this just as because it is great. David lists as a reason for forgiveness the heinousness and magnitude of his sin. That doesn't make him less forgivable. That is a reason in itself for God to forgive him. That's a wonderfully gracious and gospel way to think about sin. Verses 12 through 14, David breaks into this praise of the man who fears the Lord. He sounds like Proverbs, and he lists in the middle of the psalm, even though none of this has come true for himself, yet at least, he lists in the middle of the psalm all the blessings that he has waiting for him as he waits on the Lord, and that everyone else does as well. Mizeh ha'ish, who is the man who fears the Lord. Zeh is probably just intensive on the me. Zeh can be, not this is, but just it intensifies. Who at all is the man who fears the Lord? Notice in verses 12 through 14 the imbalance between what we do and what God does. The conditions we have to fulfill, fearing the Lord. Just taking him seriously as God, trusting him, following him, revering him, treating him the way he is. And look at everything God does as a result. Yorenu bederek yivchar. Hopefully you noticed the verb hiding inside there is yara. The yod has reverted to avav, as many initial yod verbs do in the hiphil, and you have an I vowel in the middle of the verb, showing this is a hiphil, and then a 3ms suffix on the end. He will teach him, bederek, in the way, yivchar, he will choose. So you get the guidance of God. I suppose it's technically ambiguous if the Ish chooses this man, or if Yahweh does. I suspect it's Yahweh who does that, but I suppose technically you could go either way on that. So you get the guidance of God in the way he chooses. Nafsho betov talin. Lean means to rest or spend the night. The root of the verb is lean. So this is just a cow, imperfect. 3fs, referring back to the man's soul. His soul shall rest in good. His whole life shall be suffused with the blessed peace and rest of God. The goodness of God is going to be the state of his existence. I had to look this verb up. It looks like a hiphil. getting a lot of lines here. Let me erase this. This verb looks like a hifil because of the a vowel and the I vowel, but the root is lean itself, and for a middle yod verb, in the imperfect, you will get a vowel, I vowel. So I checked halot on this, and actually the vowels for the kal and the hifil are actually identical, so they're very difficult to tell apart. It only occurs a couple times in the hifil. So this is just a kal of spend the night. His soul shall rest in good. Vezar o yirash aretz. Hopefully you can see zerah, seed, and his seed. Yarash means possess, and this is just a kal, 3ms imperfect, aretz. So, first part of the verse, his own life will be suffused with good, and in the future, his seed will possess the land, which is a way of talking about stable and blessed existence in God's promised land. All of this comes just from fearing. Final blessing, sod, means counsel, or it can mean counsel. It's hard to tell. Either one would be appropriate. The counsel of the Lord, and we have the adjective form of yara, to fear, is with those fearing him. Uverito, and his covenant, lahodiam, hopefully you can see the verb yada, another initial yod verb where the yod has reverted back to the vav. You have a hey out front, long I vowel in the middle of the verb, and lama prefix shows it's a hifil infinitive construct with a 3mp suffix. His covenant to make known to them. So it's interesting to note, in verses 12 and 14, you get teaching of God in counsel. We did Psalm 16 a while ago, and David says, my kidneys instruct me at night. You get that close presence and guidance and counsel. Not sure what else to say. All within the covenant relationship that God is making known to them. And the only thing we have to do, there's so much writing here, let me get a different color. It's yara and yara, both times. Just fear him. That's it. So we're going to see in the context of all of Psalm 25, David's situation is actually very desperate. The things he is asking for, he has not received. And as we get into the second half of the psalm, we'll see how desperate his situation is. But David's faith is so energetic and strong. He claims for himself and anyone else who meets the conditions of verse 12 a really blessed future. So we'll continue this next week, take a couple more days, and finish up the psalm. Thanks, everyone. Bye.